This is In the Loop. I'm Bianca Ficini in for Christian Bryant. But don't worry though, he will be back soon. We just had to give him some time to burn through those vacation days. The Metaverse is Silicon Valley's next big pet project.
This place is amazing.
Major tech companies, from Microsoft to the newly rechristened Meta, formerly known as Facebook, are chasing a sci-fi vision of the future internet. A 3D, persistent virtual world layered on top of the real one. Metaverse advocates say the emerging technology will completely transform how we lead our digital lives. But it's hard to know exactly what all of the Metaverse hype will lead to and what sort of new cybersecurity risks a Metaverse might expose.
We have all these new technologies that are all advancing, all being easier to use. What happens if we put them all together? Like, how does that change our world?
Samantha G. Wolf is an adjunct professor at NYU and the founder of Pitch Forward, a marketing consultancy firm focused on virtual and augmented reality. She's one of the many people trying to prepare the business world for the oncoming metaverse, even if it's not clear what that looks like yet.
That's part of the funny thing with emerging technology is that you start to create something, not quite knowing what it's going to be used for. And so that is almost like, I think the definition of deep tech is like you're creating something and you're like, it will be for something and we will figure it out.
Many potential uses for the metaverse hinge on presence and persistence. That is, you'll feel physically immersed in the virtual space around you, and you'll be more connected to digital goods and properties you own wherever you are in that space. Better presence could give users more and better ways to interact with everything digital, from virtual concerts to new data visualizations. And putting more persistence on digital content incentivizes both users and developers to invest more time and energy in the virtual world. Wolf likens the resulting to the rise of smartphones, a technology that gives users a bunch of new ways to use the internet. And just like the new mobile internet, there are tons of ways for the metaverse to end up going bad.
We can't guess everything, right? We can't predict everything, but I think that there's been enough going wrong in the past few years that we can say, okay, what happens to personal data?
The modern internet has plenty of ways for companies to harvest and capitalize on information from their users. And the metaverse promises those companies a whole new level of data to work from. Both presence and persistence demand meticulous data collection on a grand scale, potentially tracking physical locations, gestures and posture, biometric data, and more. This new surge of information will likely allow developers and advertisers to personalize a user's metaverse experience. It's also ripe for abuse and violation. If you want an example of how this could go wrong, imagine if your health insurance company could track your back posture at work. There's also plenty of social problems that the internet is still grappling with. Massive disinformation campaigns, targeted waves of harassment, malware and identity theft, and so on. A lot of the same companies that are building the metaverse are still struggling with properly managing those issues. Joining the metaverse will likely mean entrusting your digital safety and well-being to these companies. Without strong tools and clear red lines to protect user security and safety, the metaverse could end up causing more problems than it solves.
We need to be able to trust that when this data is either leaving the device, going into their servers, or they are actually monitoring your activities, we got to be able to ready to trust that mechanism.
Kavya Perlman is the founder of the XR Safety Initiative, a group working to establish protocols for safe uses of virtual, alternate, and mixed reality. The initiative hopes to tackle the thorny issues of privacy, safety, and ethics that will arise from the developing metaverse. The metaverse presents some obvious problems right off the bat. Things like internet harassment and cyberbullying are especially impactful in deeply immersive VR or AR settings. And even in purely digital spaces, real-world prejudices like racism and sexism still find ways to manifest and infect people's digital experiences. If the metaverse ends up being the go-to place for work and leisure, anything that makes the space unsafe, be it exploitative organizations, cybercriminals, or hostile users, will potentially be much more devastating. The metaverse builders are by and large aware of the stakes. Meta's CTO, Andrew Bosworth, has called toxicity an existential threat to the metaverse. But mitigating these risks is a Herculean task, especially since it's tough to predict how or where these threats will emerge. One approach to managing metaverse risk is to build on the rules we already have. The EU's General Data Protection Regulation and California's Consumer Privacy Act are both regulatory models that attempt to protect user privacy. Enacting similar principles in the metaverse could help nip potential issues in the bud.
We have the opportunity to build technologies that take into account all these lessons that we've learned, apparatuses that we have developed for, bullying, harassment, and laws that we must make, and it's still kind of very state related, or some countries are doing. We need to get like a global community together to now get these lessons and really enact prevention of harm.
Even if the perfect, easily accessible version of the metaverse is built, its creators still must convince people that the digital world is worth their time. Metaverse users will need to feel comfortable embracing this new technology, and they can't do that unless their virtual existence is as safe and trustworthy as the real one.